This video is by Straight Goods News, SGNews.ca.
Voice for you today says that your comments in the U.S. regarding the pipeline are ridiculous. Your trip was a betrayal of Canada. You were acting irresponsibly. How do you respond to our concerns?
Well, the NDP's position is that we should be adding value to our own natural resources and creating jobs in Canada. One of the pipelines currently being considered would represent the export of 40,000 jobs to the U.S. We think that we should take care of Canada's own energy security first. We think we should be getting a better price for the producers and therefore more royalties for the producing provinces by moving product from west to east, where we're paying the full Brent crude price. We're getting about $30, $40 less per barrel. We're not even getting the WTI, the West Texas Intermediate price anymore. There's this new Western Canada Select price. So they're getting a depressed price for their product. We think this is a win-win-win. More jobs in Canada, better price for the producers, more royalties for the provinces, better energy security for our country. That's the NDP's vision. The Conservative vision is, of course, the one that they're pushing. We'll see what the voters think about both visions come the next election.
Mr. Mulcair, building a pipeline west-east, would that mean that oil sands production would stay as it is? Would it have to increase or would it decrease?
That's a great question. And here's the important part as far as we're concerned. It's to make sure that we consistently apply the rules of sustainable development, such as polluter pay. When I was the Minister of the Environment in Quebec, we made it a point to apply the law the same way to everyone. People knew what to expect. One of the biggest problems we have right now in Canada is that the Conservatives have gutted all environmental reviews. We no longer have environmental legislation that the public trusts. So in the absence of a complete, credible environmental assessment process, there are proposals that are on the table. I'll give you one concrete example that you know about, I'm sure. There's a proposal from one company to reverse an existing line. That poses a technical, scientific question. Is there going to be increased erosion of that line because you're putting in, instead of what's in there now, you're putting in diluted bitumen with the attendant condensates? Is that going to prove to be a problem? That's a scientific question. It should be able to be looked at objectively. There's no objective process in place to look at it anymore in Canada. So that's one of the biggest challenges we have. What they thought was a gift to the oil companies is in fact a poison chalice. Smart companies are starting to realize that. That's why the NDP is calling for the uniform application of rules of sustainable development. Once you've internalized all of those environmental costs, you can continue to produce.
Okay, so my question is then though, if you're saying if the Keystone Pipeline goes into the United States, you have this sort of 10 years of oil for the United States equals potentially 100 years for Canada,
exactly.
Right? So I'm just wondering if you're a party of sustainability. Does this mean that oil sands production is going to effectively stay the same whatever pipeline we build?
The question precedent is what type of development. So during the leadership campaign, you know, because you were there, I was one of the candidates who resisted calls to put a limit on the number of approvals and things like that. I kept saying the same thing. As long as you're not using the air, the soil, and the water as an unlimited free dumping ground, as long as you're including all those costs, you can continue to produce, and that's in the interest of all Canadians. But as a matter of national priority for Canada, it should be a priority for us to create the jobs here, to take care of our own energy security, and as I say before, get a better price. The better price is good for the producers, and it's good for the provinces because they get more royalties.